What are some really dumb hobbies, mainly practiced by wealthy individuals? Hey yo, it's Ask Rick channel. I feel like this question was asked just to get the Titanic sub as a response. I just watched on Netflix rich Arabs cloning camels by the dozen because that first camel was really pretty. I think that's a worthy endeavor. Too many ugly camels around. Making Earth more beautiful is a worthy goal. Buying an expensive car and then keeping it in your garage without ever actually driving it. Even though I enjoy the taste, collecting ultra-expensive wine and not ever drinking it, technically it can be an investment, but if they never sell it, then it's not really an investment, IMHO. My Steam library would like a word. Collecting the same Rolex in different variations, and never wearing any because it's in a safe. Hey, it's basically just collecting, and the majority of humans collect something that doesn't have any real function besides bringing the collector happiness, which is perfectly valid, so I can't say it's a stupid hobby. I collect debts. Recording yourself giving to the poor. Those people annoy me so much. Like, let me hold my help over your head so you can perform for YouTube. It's so gross. Fox hunting. Is it hard? I hear you just need to keep chickens and the foxes come right to your doorstep. They're talking about the fox hunting is practiced by the rich landowning toffs in the UK. They wear pompous red coats and riding gear whilst riding around on horses guiding a pack of dogs who track, chase and kill foxes, usually by ripping them to shreds. So if I am understanding this correctly, they basically just ride around and watch the doggies kill the foxy and then go, what great fun the doggies have had today. And then they turn around and claim that they actually did the hunting. Climbing Everest. Just remember, every dead body was once a highly motivated individual. 12-meter yacht racing. Like standing fully clothed in a cold shower and tearing up $100 bills by the million. Buying solid gold toilets and other items. I used the solid gold toilet in the Guggenheim. Could barely lift the seat, and it didn't even stay up. I admit I peed sitting down. Breeding and showing dogs, especially the tiny ones with the up noses and tiny heads where their brains don't even fit anymore. Also the ones that cannot give birth naturally because their heads are so big. That's why those breeds are so expensive. They require cesareans. I live in Germany. A guy in my neighborhood hit the lottery. First thing he did was to fly to Russia and go bear hunting. I can't understand why it's someone's dream to kill beautiful animals, almost like the movie Ghost Dog. Being cheap. One of my friends has the money to buy the restaurants we eat at, but if we split an item, she'll fraction out how much she puts towards it. I only ate one slice of pizza and there are 6 in total, so I'll put down 1/6. She also factors this into tipping. Drives me mental. Rich people don't get rich by giving away their money to us peasants. Learned this the hard way recently. I'm a lawyer whose services got engaged by a couple who literally begged that I take their case at floor cost. Fast forward to the day I realized they were very, very rich. Maybach rich and yet very, very, very cheap, who act like getting billed $20 for an hour-long consultation phone call that they agreed to pay for was equivalent to me robbing them blind. Infuriating. They're also the most demanding and neurotic clients I've ever encountered. P.S. Where I come from, the minimum wage is $10 per day, so even when I charge them $20 for, and oh, that was still way more money than the average person makes in my country. But yeah, that was a one-time thing, TSK. My usual rate is $70 an hour. Talking down on poor people with things like stop buying coffee and you'll be rich one day. I've never bought coffee and I have $12 in my bank account. Someone once told me that Jerry Seinfeld owns a massive garage in which he stores one model of every single Porsche car ever made by Porsche. Like, why, I understand collecting some cars if you're wealthy. That's a cool hobby, but every Porsche ever made, like what does he do with all these cars? Pour himself a drink and just look at them. You know, well, he's not driving all of them. My ex-girlfriend was really into horse sports. She was riding around with a small carriage behind the horse, doing some marathons, some parkours, and some dressage. I went to an event twice. She asked me to be the groomer person in the back, shifting their weight to help steer and such. It was actually amazing to be able to do that. See how strong 1 horsepower really is. The dressage part was really boring, though. Even though this isn't considered the status-holding part of dressage, it's still a lot of money. Horses aren't cheap, neither are carriages, trailers, maintenance. Keeping your horse fed and healthy. Getting a special license for riding trailers, which is mandatory above certain weights, lengths here. Gear for your horse, gear for yourself. My ex is a physical therapist, so she wasn't earning nothing, but it ate up a chunk monthly. But actual dressage is far more boring and way more expensive, I imagine. I used to work at a very pricey private school, and one of the big donors took it upon himself to make these big sculptures of extinct birds from around the world, and then he would make a big deal of installing these things in the last place the bird was seen, even if it was in the middle of the jungle. And he paid people to follow him around and make a documentary about it. The sculptures weren't even good. But can you imagine disrupting an ecosystem to put your piece of homage to an extinct animal in it? How does that even make sense? The school had the kisses to keep the money flowing and allowed him to install one of his sculptures on the school grounds. Then they made all the middle schoolers spend an afternoon watching his vanity documentary and making carrier pigeons out of paper cutouts. It was a big joke. To be honest, this sounds like an interesting and cool way to grab some attention to the issue of extinction caused by humans. We obviously don't know how poor the execution has been, but it's 1000x less pointless than, say, collecting random expensive cars in your garage. Diving down to the wreck of the Titanic in an uncertified submersible operated by a sketchy company. Warren Buffett and the 1% generationally wealthy don't really need all their personal profits. They're only hoarding money as a hobby at this point. Baby making way too expensive. I'd much rather get a cat. Buying yachts. A yacht is stupidly expensive to maintain, and the bigger it is, the harder and more expensive that maintenance is. You can't store it on land like a fishing boat either, because it's too big to tow like that. You have to keep it in the water where the salt can corrode metal or rot wood. Thanks for watching. Share your stories in the comments.